Sonic 2, it's better than the first one. It's still not the same thing as being good, because the first one was an absolute god-awful travesty, and everything wrong with that one is still, in fact, wrong with this one, so in some ways the bad stuff sticks out even worse now, even if it's somehow balanced out more, maybe. I recognize that won't matter to a lot of Sonic the Hedgehog fans, because this franchise has always had an exceptionally lopsided bad-to-good ratio, so everyone who can still care is clearly inoculated against enduring the bad parts to get to the stuff they want, and when Sonic 2 eventually runs out of reasons to extend its barely 15 minutes worth of actual storytelling and character development to an inexcusable 2.5 hours of extraneous bad comedy and worse world building and can just deliver a giant scale climax of video game fan service, yeah, that part basically works. A ton of people will tell themselves the undeniably fun last 20 minutes or so of this bad movie redeems the rest of it, and while I won't agree, yeah, I get it. Fine. Life is short, enjoy your Hedgehog movie. If I was myself carrying around the baggage of Sonic nostalgia, I'd completely understand. Bless, bless. It's still bad, though. Sorry. So if you're just joining us, or can no longer remember the world before the plague, this is an adaptation of a video game character, best remembered for having starred in exactly 3 unquestionably classic 16-bit Sega Genesis games in the 1990s, and then piles of very, very questionable everything else in the decades since. Its story and main character here reimagined for the 1000th time into an Alf, Howard the Duck, Mac and Me alike, in which the main character is a fast-running furry alien child displaced to rural America, wherein his previous adventure saw him adopted by a small-town sheriff after defeating Jim Carrey's evil military drone mastermind who wanted to steal his powers because reasons. It was interminably bad, but it made a shit ton of money because kids' films have a built-in theatrical multiplier based on the likelihood of group viewing or parental chaperones, and also they delayed it and changed the CGI at the apparent behest of outraged fans of the games who now feel they have some kind of symbolic ownership stake of the brand, which means we're now faced with one of those awkward genre property adaptation sequels where a status quo that initially had nothing to do with more outlandish aspects of the original material, which being a video game from the 1990s involves giant robots, extended cast of furry animal pals, multiple alien worlds and dimensions, ancient conflicts and prophecies between enemy races with absurdly convoluted internecine rivalries, magical stones that need collecting and combining into an even bigger, more magical stone, devious paramilitary organization, and the absolute end of the universe, because of course, getting hurriedly retrofitted into the normie family-friendly comedy world established by the first one, mostly to the detriment of both aesthetic elements. To wit, with Sonic's human supporting cast jetting off to Hawaii for the wedding of the most annoying supporting character from the first film in order to set up an arduously overlong sidekick-centric second act that notably may be the first time I've ever found myself unironically thinking the words "Shamar Moore, you're better than this," and meaning it. Carrey's Dr. Robotnik returns to Earth with a new conditional partner in Idris Elba's Knuckles, an echidna warrior with vaguely defined connections to Sonic's still pretty vaguely defined itself origin story, whose power is punching things and needs to find a magical emerald because he does, and also wants to either kill or beat the shit out of Sonic because origin things. Joined by also newly arrived alien Foxboy Tails, Sonic has to find the emerald first and also maybe convince Knuckles that the obvious villain he's working for is an obvious villain, so the 3 cute fuzzy animal friends can eventually team up and fight him in the aforementioned good part of the movie final battle. There is admittedly some stuff that works in all of this. Making most of the main action strictly Carrey versus the CG animals is the right call. He's doing broad shtick here, but his take on Robotnik as a genuinely evil mad scientist guy who's a clown but also legitimately dangerous and a not joking mean guy who really does want to hurt people hits a lot stronger when he's mainly bullying or manipulating cartoon animal teenagers. The dynamic he has opposite Sonic, where both the good guy and the bad guy are these snarky wisecracking jerks of different vintage, has some energy to it, you know, like a Spider-Man versus the Joker thing. You don't see that too often, and it contrasts nicely with Elba playing Knuckles as this constantly exasperated super serious bruiser guy who keeps being confused or offended by the total insincerity surrounding him. You know, I mean, it's one punchline that they keep doing over and over, and you've seen it before. It's basically Worf jokes, but it lands more often than it doesn't, and I mean, it's a movie for 8-year-olds, so it'll be new to them. On the flip side, the narrative ends up leaving Tails without much to actually do, which is surprising. It's weird that these kids' movies don't have any room for their kid characters. He's basically just a plot device, mostly to drive what's meant to be a character arc about growing up and taking care of others for Sonic that's all tell and very little show. I feel like it might have worked if this version of Sonic was more of a genuine, smug, reckless asshole like he's been in some of the games and cartoons, but here he's set up as such a nice guy from the jump in the last movie that the arc is over before it starts. The main thing Tails ends up contributing are the comedy props the humans use for the aforementioned Act 2 action detour, which again stops an already much too long film dead in its tracks so that the secondary non-CGI animal cast can recreate someone's idea of the kind of movies Melissa McCarthy stopped making for a reason. Again, there's an element of banging one's head into the wall resignation to these things since, yeah, eventually after like a whole movie's worth of mediocrity, dance contests, bad comedy, DOA character arcs, and what looks like it might have been the space for a natural ending at one point, there's an extra near half hour a movie given over to someone saying, look, there's been like 30 Marvel, Avengers, etc. things at this point showing you how to end these and make everyone go home happy. Just do that, but with Sonic stuff, and everyone will like it and forgive the rest of the movie, and it kind of works. The finish is a lot of fun. Probably everything Sonic fans could ever have hoped to have reasonably seen in a movie. The post-credit stuff will excite the fans even more. However marginal, this is an improvement. So I'll say 5 out of 10. I did not want to gouge both of my eyes out most of the time.